我考虑一个女生能不能走进婚姻，可能都是这5个维度吧。
I think when considering whether a woman is suitable for marriage, it really comes down to 5 dimensions. Which 5 dimensions are those? First of all, it's about her attitude toward money. Do I hope she earns a high income? Not necessarily. But I believe being too stingy or too wasteful are both unacceptable. You see, most men in Chongqing are quite easygoing and obedient to their wives. Naturally, it's usually the wife who manages the household finances. Since she's going to handle the money, she must also have the ability to manage it well. If she's too stingy, the whole family might end up hungry and pale. If she's too extravagant, the salary might be gone within just 2 days, and the rest of the month will be miserable. So, when it comes to money, she must have a clear concept and a sense of moderation. Even for younger women, I think it's fine if she enjoys life while she's young, but after marriage, when children come along, she should gradually learn to be frugal and responsible. The second dimension is her attitude when conflicts arise. When there's a quarrel, as a man, of course, I'll be the one to comfort her. But even when I do, she also needs to be willing to apologize. It can't be that every time something happens, she just cries, shouts, and threatens to leave or harm herself. She must be willing to work with me to solve problems. After all, marriage is built on rice, oil, salt, everyday life. Conflicts and arguments are inevitable. I'm not afraid of her arguing. I'm afraid if she refuses to cooperate. Third, she must be well-mannered and polite. Sometimes when I take the subway, I see young women dressed beautifully, sitting next to a worker who might be a little dirty from his job. Then she looks disgusted and even tells him to sit farther away, even though he hasn't touched her at all. I really dislike women who act so arrogant and superior. So what I hope for is a woman who is kind, respectful, well-mannered, and empathetic. The fourth point, she should have plans for her future. Whether it's work or life, she should have a sense of direction. For example, what kind of marriage she envisions, what kind of life she expects after marriage. Does she plan to continue working or stay home to care for the family? Does she have a timeline in mind for marriage, for having fun, for settling down? Although I always take her opinions seriously, I still hope she has a clear personal plan. It gives me a sense of security. I'm not young anymore, and I hope that both sides can take the relationship seriously and responsibly, not just drift through each day without purpose. The fifth point, whether she's willing to grow emotionally in the relationship. To what extent should that growth be? For instance, when we first start dating, it's okay if she gets a bit emotional, sometimes that's normal. But she can't stay that way forever. She can't always throw tantrums and make a scene. If we're going to build a marriage together, I hope she can mature, become more emotionally stable, more responsible. Because family responsibility belongs to both partners. A good relationship is the result of both people growing together. Honestly, I think you are already very mature and rational. Plus, your conditions are excellent. You have a stable and decent income. Your parents are both leaders at their workplaces, and you are the only child. In terms of work, education, looks, and family background, everything about you is solid. You shouldn't have trouble finding someone. But maybe you're too rational, and that's why you've lost the impulsiveness of youth. Think about it when you were in kindergarten. Receiving a small red flower for good behavior made you proud and excited. When you improved your grades in middle school, your parents might have rewarded you with a trip or a new phone, and that made you genuinely happy. But in college, even when you received a generous scholarship, you didn't feel like telling anyone. Or maybe in college, just a girl's smile could make you secretly fall in love. But once you started working, you began to think more about reality. As time passes, emotional investment becomes more and more difficult. Especially after turning 30, it's hard to feel joy from small things, and even harder to like someone so deeply that you can't live without them. Everything, people, things, relationships, starts to feel the same. It doesn't seem to matter whether it's her or someone else. And of course, she might feel the same way about me. Conversations become short and formal, and one day, without warning, we just stop contacting each other. It's not that we're incompatible. It's just that we no longer have the time or energy to talk all night like we used to when we were young. Now everyone has to work the next day, and as adults, we carry layers of caution and self-protection. We talk politely, afraid to cross lines, as if showing vulnerability means losing. Sometimes I even think maybe I should just get married. But deep down, I can't resign myself to a life of compromise. I don't want to just settle for someone. So now I regret it. I shouldn't have let my career delay my lifelong happiness. Many men say career is the most important thing. Once you have a successful career, the rest will come. I used to think that way too. But now, looking back, I realize even after getting married, you can still pursue your career. But if you're too busy chasing work and miss the person who truly moved your heart, you'll lose the most passionate, youthful version of yourself. Maybe this sounds a bit naive or childish, but honestly, this is my truest feeling right now. What do you think? Do you agree with how men feel? Have you ever felt the same way yourself?
一个男生啊，在联谊大会上直接
A young man, during an online dating event, directly made a girl cry on the spot. On March 8th, we co-hosted a large-scale matchmaking event with over 1,000 participants. During that event, what this young man said to the girl caused her to break down emotionally and run away from the venue in tears. I tried to stop her, but I couldn't. So, what exactly happened? At the event, the girl had taken a liking to this guy. She found his looks and overall appearance quite satisfactory indeed. He was quite handsome. She decided to approach him and took the initiative to ask about his situation. However, the young man immediately turned the conversation around and asked her directly, "What's your income? Have you bought a house? How much savings do you have? What kind of car do you drive?" The girl, without hesitation, replied honestly, "I don't have any of those." After hearing that, the young man immediately rejected her. The girl, unwilling to give up, asked him, "Why do you think we're not suitable? I'm 35 and you're 33. We're both unmarried and considered older singles. Our ages match well. I'm only 2 years older than you." The young man replied, "We both have master's degrees, and right now we both work in public institutions here in Xi'an. You started working 2 years earlier than I did, and yet you still don't have a house or a car that I can understand, since you're a woman. But the fact that you have no savings at all, what does that mean? It means you're a person who only knows how to take, not give. You just want to walk into a ready-made life without effort. And I don't want to date someone like that." The girl was furious and protested, "Why do you say that about me?" The man responded sharply again, "You've been working for so many years, yet you have no car, no house, and no savings. That means you're a moonlight clan type, someone who spends everything they earn each month. When it comes to marriage, you're probably expecting a large bride price, and that the man will have to buy you both a car and a house." But the girl wasn't fazed at all and replied, "Yes, and what's wrong with that? Isn't that what men are supposed to do?" Hearing this, the man became even more speechless. He said firmly, "We're not suitable. You're not a match for me, not in mindset, not in values. You've studied for so many years, and it's all gone to waste. What era are we living in now? It's long been an age of gender equality. You started working 2 years before me. You work and I work. You earn money and I earn money. So why should I be the only one responsible for buying a car and a house and still have to pay a high bride price on top of that?" Those words, harsh and direct, made the girl burst into tears on the spot. She felt deeply embarrassed, stood there not knowing what to do or what to say, and finally wiped away her tears and left the venue. So, my friends, what do you think? Do you agree with the man's point of view? Be honest, who do you think was right? The man or the woman?
万松书院男生婚前要求婚检。
At Wansong Academy, a young man's demand for a premarital medical examination scared away a large number of women. Last Saturday, I went to the matchmaking corner in Hangzhou. The man said, "When women ask for a house, I'll prepare a house. When they want a car, I'll prepare a car. Whatever amount of bride price they want, I'll prepare that exact amount. But I have one single condition: the woman must take a premarital medical examination." As soon as he said that, many women immediately walked away. Then the man continued, "See, this is how society is now. So many women can't bear the idea of a premarital checkup. Why? Because they're afraid the results might reveal that they've had abortions or pregnancies before. But think about it. I'm spending such a large amount of money to find a woman who is pure and clean. Is that too much to ask? So, what about you? Do you agree with this man's point of view? Before we dive into all of this, let us know in the comments where you're watching this video from. Connecting with viewers across the world is a huge source of inspiration for us.
家人们，快救命啊！现在的婚恋市场怎么这么离谱？有人说
Family, please help me. What on earth is happening to today's dating and marriage market? It's completely absurd. Some people are saying that they would rather spend hundreds of thousands more in bride price just to marry a girl in her early 20s, but they wouldn't even consider dating an older single woman. I want to ask, what's so wrong with older single women? They're financially independent. rational, and clear-minded. In their careers, many of them are even more hardworking and capable than some men. So why is it that in the eyes of men, they've somehow become a burden too high to reach? In contrast, when it comes to young women in their early 20s, even if they're unreasonable or immature, men still feel that being with them is easier and more relaxed. But here's what I don't understand. Older single women are often financially independent and stable. Shouldn't that be an advantage? Why then, for so many men, does it feel like pressure instead of a plus? So let me ask those of you watching, especially men over 30 who are still single, if it were you, who would you choose? Would you choose a mature, independent older woman or a simple, obedient young girl in her early 20s?
我是你们的老朋友小雨，今天要聊聊相亲市场上让无数
Hello everyone, I'm your old friend, Xiao Yu. Today we're going to talk about a topic that makes countless men's scalps tingle in the matchmaking market premarital medical examinations. As soon as this topic comes up, some so-called little fairies react as if someone stepped on their tails, instantly angry, instantly defensive. Brothers, don't you think this whole thing is kind of ridiculous? Let's start with a real-life story from Hangzhou's matchmaking market in the year 2024 that went viral online. There was a guy named Xiao Li who went to a matchmaking event. The woman showed up acting all aloof and high class, like some untouchable goddess. After chatting for only a few minutes, Xiao Li politely asked, "What do you think about premarital medical exams? For the sake of both sides, maybe we should consider doing one." And what happened? The woman immediately exploded and snapped back, "You want to check me? Do you think there's something wrong with me?" Xiao Li was stunned and tried to explain himself. But the woman sneered coldly and said, "With my conditions, you dare to even bring up premarital testing? Do you think you're qualified?" Xiao Li was speechless. Later, he vented online, "I'm looking for a wife, not buying a goddess to worship at home." Netizens flooded the comments with likes, saying, "Isn't this exactly the typical case of a woman who's played around long enough and now wants to find a naive man to clean up her mess?" I couldn't help but laugh. Xiao Li, you really ran into one of those so-called noble fairies. Come on, what's so wrong with premarital checkups? It's just about checking health, ensuring both people have peace of mind for the rest of their lives. Why make it sound like a criminal interrogation? Brothers, my advice when you encounter that kind of high and mighty fairy, just walk away. Premarital testing must be brought up, but don't act like a pushover. Be firm. Say it clearly. We both take the test fair and open. No secrets. Either she cooperates or it's goodbye. Don't end up being the one paying the price later. Now let's move on to another real case from Chengdu in the year 2023. And I guarantee you brothers will slap your thighs in frustration. A man named Xiao Zhang spent 30,000 yuan on an elite matchmaking service that claimed to introduce high-quality goddesses. But every time he met someone, the woman would eagerly ask, "Have you had a premarital exam? How's your health?" Xiao Zhang, being honest, answered truthfully. He even went to the hospital and completed a full medical checkup. But after giving her his report, the woman disappeared completely. Even worse, Xiao Zhang later discovered that this matchmaking agency specifically targeted honest men, using premarital exams as an excuse to collect personal information and waste time, only to later imply that the man's conditions weren't good enough. Xiao Zhang was furious and sued the matchmaking agency. Netizens commented, "Isn't this just another scam by so-called fairies who've played around and now want to trap a fool?" I couldn't stop laughing. Xiao Zhang, you spent your money more unjustly than Dewey from the old Chinese play. You got scammed by both the agency and the fake fairy. Brothers, learn from this. Premarital exams are important, but don't let the other side use them to manipulate you. If a woman insists on testing you, just turn it around. Fine, you show me your report first. Let's see if you're worth me spending this money. Remember, brothers, both sides should take the test together. Split the cost equally, 50-50. Don't be stupid enough to pay it all yourself. And as for those women who've had their fun and now want a man to take responsibility for them, there's only one word: run. Finally, let me tell you a hilarious classic story from the year 2019 that happened through Yuan matchmaking. I laughed so hard my stomach hurt. A guy from Hangzhou named Xiao Wang met a woman online who claimed to be a white, rich, and beautiful lady. Right from the start, she set extremely high standards. saying that premarital testing was mandatory, and even hinted that her genes were superior, so she needed someone who could match her level. Xiao Wang thought she seemed genuine, so he accompanied her to hospitals, took her out for meals, and spent several thousand yuan in total. But eventually, he discovered the so-called white rich beauty was fake. Her ID card was borrowed, and her entire persona was fabricated. Furious, Xiao Wang exposed her online. Netizens burst out laughing. Bro, you got destroyed by a fake fairy. The premarital test was fake. The real plan was just to find a man to take the blame. Ha ha ha, Xiao Wang. That wasn't a matchmaking date, that was a live episode of The Fairy and the Fool. Brothers, remember this well, premarital testing itself is a good thing. It's meant to protect both sides' health and ensure peace of mind. So how did some of these fairies turn it into a tool for manipulation? To put it bluntly, some of these women have played around long enough and now want to find an honest man to take over. For them, premarital testing has become a tool to test whether a man is submissive enough. But brothers, don't panic. Get the test, yes, but stay firm. Both sides should go together. And most importantly, don't let yourself be the fool paying for someone else's past. Brothers watching this, would you dare marry a woman who refuses to do a premarital medical exam? Share your stories in the comments about how you've been tricked by so-called fairies. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Next time, we'll continue exposing the crazy tactics in today's matchmaking market. See you next time. If you're still watching, comment 1 so I know you're still with me.
一个31岁的男人在西安开着8万块钱的车，还好意思出来相亲。
A 31-year-old man driving a car worth 80,000 yuan still dares to come out for matchmaking. That's exactly what a 29-year-old girl said to me yesterday. This girl has a bachelor's degree. Her looks I would rate around 6 out of 10, and her income is about 6,000 yuan per month. Her parents are farmers in their hometown. Yesterday, she came to our agency to sign up for matchmaking. While browsing our database, she immediately took an interest in a man who drives a BMW X5. That man earns around 500,000 yuan a year, and he owns his own company. I know very well what kind of woman he's looking for, and there's no way he would be interested in her. So, I gently tried to tell the girl that they might not be suitable for each other. Right then, the atmosphere suddenly became tense. You could feel the air tighten up. To ease the awkwardness, I said, how about I introduce you to another man instead? He might not be as successful as that one, but he does own both a car and a house, and his parents receive a pension. But before I could even finish my sentence, the girl suddenly pointed to the man's car in the photo and said, he's already 31 years old, and he's still driving a car worth only 80,000 yuan. How can he have the nerve to show up for a matchmaking session? Let me tell you, when I heard that sentence, I could literally feel my blood pressure rising. I thought to myself, sister, you're already 29 years old. How can you still be this sharp-tongued and mean-spirited? If this had been 2 years ago, I would have immediately snapped back at her. But this time, I held myself back and simply said, well, it seems we might not have any suitable matches for you here. And then I politely sent her off. Honestly, I was saving her some dignity at that moment. I didn't say what I really wanted to say, but if you happen to come across this video, I want to tell you, as a woman with such a distorted outlook on life and values, if you don't make a serious change, it will be very difficult for you to find a genuine partner. And even if you do, he'll either be a scammer or an actor hired to play the part. In recent years, China's social trends have revealed an alarming shift in the country's marriage landscape. According to official data from China's National Bureau of Statistics, the number of registered marriages in 2023 dropped to just around 6.8 million couples, the lowest in more than 4 decades, and a decline of over 50% compared to 10 years ago. At the same time, the population of single women over 30 in urban areas like Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen has surpassed 20 million, representing nearly 30% of all women of marriageable age. These numbers speak volumes about how the values surrounding love and marriage are changing in modern China. China's social trends show that many women are becoming financially independent, self-reliant, and career-driven. Yet paradoxically, this very independence, which should be something admirable, has turned into a reason for rejection in the eyes of many men. This raises a troubling question about the state of gender expectations today. Why is it that a woman's success and autonomy are viewed as pressure, while men are still judged primarily by their income and possessions? Has modern love in China become a numbers game, where emotional connection takes a backseat to financial calculations? So what do you think? Are modern Chinese women truly too demanding? Or are modern Chinese men the ones who have failed to keep up with the changing times? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if you want to see more discussions like this. Thank you for watching. See you again in the next episode.